Right then, everybody, welcome back. It is transfer season, so it's time for a little bit of transfer talk. Look at who United are being linked with, whether we think there's anything in them, and maybe why we are being linked with certain players. Let's get straight into it then. Gabby Magalhaes. United apparently, this is according to Fabrizio Romano, only contacted Gabby Magalhaes' agent a few days ago, and he's waiting to make a decision between Napoli and Arsenal, who have both got total agreement with Lille. Now, it doesn't seem to me that United are in the race for him here whatsoever. If we only contacted him a couple of days ago, you got to question why. I also don't think he comes in and he's that guaranteed starter, world class. Yes, that's your future captain or whatever. I don't think he's in that sort of bracket. But it's interesting that we seemingly have only made contact a couple of days ago, and it's August. A bit on the worrying side. Another one that doesn't make a lot of sense is Issa Diop. So West Ham need to sell players. Apparently they would be willing to listen to offers for Issa Diop for about 45 million. Supposedly was valued at 75 million. I don't know who valued him at 75 million. Supposedly valued at 75 million when United were linked with him last summer. At least 2 Premier League clubs want to sign him in this window, according to some other reports, and they are suggesting that United are one of those. He's thought to earn less than half what some of his teammates do in a fresh start at a new club. Could see him get an increase on the supposed 50 grand a week that he's earning. That's from Cave at Sky. Again, Issa Diop is not someone that you put alongside Maguire and say there's Rio and Vidic part 2. Not at all. When you look at both of these signings, or potential signings, that I don't think we're making either of, there's clearly an archetype of a player here, but is it a first choice or is it a backup? For me, it's a backup, and I think when you see Napoli mentioned with Magalhaes, is that because they're going to be letting one of theirs go? Is that because they're going to be moving Koulibaly on? Now, Koulibaly, for me, would be the guy that comes in and you go, oh yeah, that's a top draw, world-class centre-half. Him and Maguire, now you mean business. Magalhaes and Diop just aren't in that sort of category, and I don't even know if we're even in for Koulibaly. When you look at Manchester City, they've signed Nathan Ake. I like him, good player. He's not in that sort of bracket just yet. He's a young lad with potential. He certainly could get there, but he's not in that bracket yet. City have had a shit season by their standards of late, and supposedly they're going to get Ake and Koulibaly. Fucking hell. Has anyone ever been blown like Pep does in the transfer market? The guy just gets anything he wants, doesn't he? I think anyone could manage Manchester City and do well with them if that's a sort of... I mean, how many centre-halves does he need? When he arrived at the club, there was already some banging centre-halves there, including Kompany. I think Mangala hadn't been there long, or he was one of Pep's signings. Then he blows 50 million on John Stones, completely fucks up the market price. Then he's getting Laporte. Do you know what I mean? How many centre-halves does one player need? Does one man need? He's just clearly another couple. Right, David Brooks. This boiled all the piss in the world this morning when it sort of came out that United was interested in signing Bournemouth's 23-year-old Welsh midfielder David Brooks. Now, Brooks hasn't played 90 minutes this season, and he played all of his games post-lockdown after being out in the early part of the season. According to the formerly great local newspaper, now disreputable online blog, he could be worth around 40 million, which, again, that's a lot of cash for essentially a championship player. Now, he is good. I've seen some people saying that this is an alternative to Jadon Sancho. I don't believe that it would be an alternative to Jadon Sancho. This might be a case of United trying to balance out a transfer window. Let's assume Jadon Sancho isn't happening. They might focus their attention on a big money signing either in midfield, possibly up front, or in defence. If they're not getting Jadon Sancho, I don't expect us to sign 400+ million pound players. That's just not going to happen. There was probably going to be one big marquee signing, i.e. a Sancho or someone of that ilk, and then several players that had a bit of depth and filling a couple of the holes in the squad. And I would assume if that interest in Brooks is real, he's either on a list waiting for Sancho to go tits up, or Sancho already has gone tits up and United are going to spend that money on a big first choice signing elsewhere. He's certainly not anywhere close to the level of Jadon Sancho. He's certainly not anywhere close to fulfilling the same, not even the same kind of player, really. So I think there's probably something in that as a bit of a bolt out the blue, but it makes me worry if there is, because I don't see us signing 2 right wingers in one window. Certainly not when £40 million is your backup one. Dean Henderson then, as reported basically everywhere, Aaron Ramsdale to Sheffield United is sorted, just the medicals to get polished off. It's going to take something extraordinary to stop that happening right now. United haven't made a decision yet on Dean Henderson. That's according to Simon Stone. Henderson's made it clear that he wants to commit his long-term future to United and battle it out with David De Gea for the number 1 jersey next season. That's according to Sky. And this news does hint at the fact that Henderson might be staying for next season's campaign, and possibly even increasing the news that Sergio Romero's potentially on the outward bound flights. What do you reckon about this? Because for me, Henderson, great keeper, was in the mix for the Golden Gloves this year, had a fantastic early part of the season especially, and as much as the rest of Sheffield United kind of fell off form a little bit towards the end of the season, the spotlight's certainly not on you anywhere near as much at Sheffield United as it is at United, and you've got to wonder if he could handle that level of pressure, because it's clearly different. Everywhere he's gone, though, and I think this has gone from League 2 to League 1 to the Championship, and although I don't think did he win Player of the Year this year for Sheffield United? I'm not sure if he did or not, but basically everywhere he's gone, he's won Player of the Year. And he's won Player of the Year as a goalkeeper in successful sides, which is hard to do. It's pretty easy to be a good goalkeeper in a bad side. You get a lot of trade. But being good enough to be recognised as Player of the Year in teams that are getting promoted tells you that he's doing a lot of things right. I think a good move next season might be to have Henderson as our cup goalkeeper, like we've seen with Sergio Romero quite often, and play David De Gea in the league. There's not a prayer that United are able to move De Gea on in the form that he's in at the moment with the wages that he's on. No one in their right mind would be happy paying that, including us, but we're going to pay it. So I think the only thing you can do is you can increase the pressure on him with bringing Henderson back, and hope that something happens, or he's another year off his contract, another year closer to somewhere else, or you find the old David De Gea form comes back. I think the chances of that happening are pretty slim. But I think that's the best move is Henderson stays with the club next season. He takes over Sergio Romero's role as the cup goalkeeper, and we see what happens. Speaking of Romero, according to the Star, they're saying he could leave United for Chelsea or Leeds or Everton. So anywhere, basically. So the MEN are also reporting that he's open to leaving the club this summer, stating that the 33-year-old's representatives were unimpressed that he was left out of the semi-final in Cologne. Well, it was going to happen, wasn't it, to be honest. I think Romero's been a great servant since he's been here. He has got the best job in the world, which is as number 2, and he plays a lot for a number 2 as well. He's never going to take over the first choice role. I think Henderson's the only one on the books of the club that could do it. So I think the right thing would be to move him on, bring Henderson back in the fold and give him those opportunities and see how it goes. So I would imagine he goes. I'd be surprised if it's Chelsea, Leeds or Everton. I could see him going back abroad. But I guess it will see who comes in for him. Because, you're getting a good goalkeeper. There's no doubt about that. He's definitely a good goalkeeper. But where he goes is anybody's guess at the moment. And finally then, Tahith Chong signs a deal, plays a few games. He's going to now spend a year on loan at Werder Bremen. So good luck to Chongi on that. And let's hope that he gets some game time and develops, because I think the German league's ripe for that. And Werder Bremen seems like a decent enough club to go and get that done. So that's it. Let me know in the comments any that you've seen, any that you think there's something in. No Sancho. Worrying or interesting. We will find out. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to give it a like. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters.